All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we are going to tackle one of the trickiest parts of the CDL test, mastering doubles and triples. We're going to turn the manual into a straightforward guide covering exactly what you need to know to not only pass your endorsement, but to handle these big rigs like an absolute pro. So, pulling multiple trailers, it's not just about your rig getting longer. It brings in a whole new set of challenges. For starters, your risk of a rollover is way, way higher. And then you've got the famous crack the whip effect, where that last trailer can just swing out like crazy. And guess which trailer gets it the worst? Yep, always the one way at the back. But hey, the good news is with the right know-how, you can totally handle these combinations safely and with confidence. It really all boils down to knowing the specific procedures for these unique vehicles. So let's dive right in and break down what you need to know. Okay, so with a double or triple, your pre-trip inspection becomes, well, let's just say it's more critical than ever. And all of that starts with one key piece of equipment, the converter dolly. I love this saying because it's so true. Think of your entire rig like a giant chain. That converter dolly, it's the critical link holding the whole thing together. And if that link fails, the results can be catastrophic. That's why your inspection of it has to be perfect every single time. Okay, this right here, this is your absolute must-do checklist. No skipping steps. You've got to physically check the air tank strain, the petcock, to get any moisture out. Make sure those safety chains are solid. Inspect every single air and electrical line. You have to confirm all the locking pins are there and properly engaged. Oh, and here's a little date you got to burn into your memory. If that dolly was built after March 1st, 1998, it must have anti-lock brakes. So here's a classic test question for you, straight out of the manual. It's all about the order you do things in. The sequence is everything. So think about it. What would happen if you did it the wrong way and uncoupled the front trailer first? All right, inspection is done and dusted. Now for the really precise part, coupling. This is a process where you have to be exact, and getting it right is a non-negotiable skill if you're going to be handling these rigs. First things first, we're connecting that dolly to the lead trailer. You want to get everything lined up perfectly. And hey, if you have to, wheel that dolly into place by hand. The second is connected, secure those safety chains and hook up all your air and electrical lines. Seriously, don't rush this part. Rushing is how things go wrong. Now for part 2 of this connection, and pay close attention to this first step because it's a biggie. You've got to release the dolly brakes by opening the petcock on its air tank. That's what lets you move it into position. Then you make sure the fifth wheel is just a little bit lower than the trailer, back it up nice and slow, and once you hear that connection, charge the whole system with air. Hearing that big clunk when you connect doesn't mean the job is done, not even close. Any CDL examiner worth their salt is going to expect you to get out of that cab and do a physical visual check. Let's look at exactly what they want you to see. And this is your 4-point trust but verify check. Get a flashlight, get under there and look. Is there any daylight between the top and bottom fifth wheel plates? Are those locking jaws completely wrapped around that kingpin? Is the release arm sitting where it's supposed to be? And is that safety latch locked in? You got to confirm all 4 of these before you even think about putting that truck in gear. So, you're inspected, you're coupled up, you're ready to hit the road. But listen, driving one of these rigs requires a totally different mindset. Everything you do, and I mean everything, has to be smoother, slower, and way more deliberate. Just take a look at this comparison. It really shows you what a different beast we're dealing with here. Your rollover risk is so much higher. Every turn needs to be wider. Every lane change has to be slow and planned way in advance. And here's the kicker. A speed that feels perfectly safe on a curve with a single trailer could be dangerously fast with a double or triple. These right here, these are the techniques that separate the rookies from the real pros. Every single movement, from steering to braking, has got to be smooth. You have to be looking way down the road to see what's coming. But if there is one thing you take away from this section, make it this. The heaviest trailer always goes up front, right behind the tractor. That's the golden rule for stability. All right, let's wrap this up with a little lightning round. Think of these as the greatest hits from your endorsement test. You ready? This is a huge one for safety, and I can almost guarantee you'll see it on the test. How do you know for sure that the brakes on that last trailer, way back there, are actually going to work when you need them? Okay, here's the test. You walk all the way to the back of the very last trailer, charge the whole air system, and then you disconnect the emergency air line. You should hear that whoosh of air escape, and the brakes on that trailer should set immediately. That's your proof. Air is getting all the way to the back. Okay, next up, the tractor protection valve. That's your fail-safe, right? The thing that keeps you from losing all your air if a trailer breaks away. You have to know its numbers. And the magic numbers are between 20 and 45 psi. If your air pressure drops down into that range, the trailer protection valve, that little red knob, is designed to pop out. Go ahead and memorize that range right now. It's prime test material. Now, this next one, it sounds so simple, right? But you'd be surprised how many people get tripped up on it. The air valves on the very, very back of your final trailer. Should you have them open or closed? The answer is closed. Always, 100% of the time, closed. Think about it. If those valves are open, you're just bleeding air pressure all over the interstate and your brakes are useless. They have to be closed to keep the system sealed and pressurized. We already talked about this one, but it's so incredibly important. We're going to hit it one more time. To make sure your rig is as stable and safe as possible, where do you put the heaviest trailer? And the rule is simple. Heavy up front. Your heaviest trailer goes in that first position, right behind the tractor. No exceptions. This keeps the center of gravity where you want it and dramatically reduces that crack the whip effect and the risk of a rollover. And just like that, you've passed the virtual road test. You've walked through the key inspection points, the proper coupling procedure, and the absolute rules for staying safe on the road. You've got the knowledge now. But the real test isn't on paper. It's turning all this knowledge into a habit, something you do with discipline every single time you climb into that cab. Now go drive safe.